Welcome back to the FLIMA Beat on 104.1 FM WGCC Radio here in Geneva, New York. Tonight we've got Exit Atlas, a songwriting duo from Western New York featuring Paul McCardle and Zack Brinn. They're in the studio with us to talk about their process, share some of their music, and just hear what they've been up to and where they've come from. Here's the title track from their 2021 release, The Unknown. Welcome back to the FLIMA Beat. I'm Michael Gonzalez here with Dan Godwin and the members of Exit Atlas, Paul McCardle and Zack Brinn. How you guys doing?
Great. Glad to be here.
Killer tune there. The Unknown off their 2021 release of the same name. The production and primary songwriting is is Zack, right?
Yeah, most of the time. The core, like the nucleus of the song is from me, and I usually sketch it out as a demo with some crude drums, some bass, some rhythm guitar. I kind of map out what the song structure might be and throw some terrible singing on it, and then I'll show him that. And if it's like, something that's halfway decent enough to like proceed with, then we start tracking it with like actual good performances.
Right.
So.
Right. And so.
Yeah,
but Paul, you get.
Exactly. It's
I'll let you tell me.
I mean, Zack is just a great songwriter, and been working with him for what's it been, like 20 years almost, or over 20 years. So it's been great to work with him, to see his ideas evolve from something that's just a great original concept to be able to take that from one level and then work on it and see where it can go. It usually starts out as, like a sketch like he was mentioning, and he's got a scratch vocal on there, some basic rhythm tracks, and then, I'll either come up with a guitar part that will accompany his part as kind of the first step, and then we'll, usually set up a time where we can collaborate in the studio and really kind of bring the two parts synergetically together,
Right.
And that really is a great thing, is once it gets to that point, it's like we start seeing what Zack had in mind come even more into the picture. And then when I add to it, it's like we kind of feed off each other in the studio. It's really fun, and something like that last track we heard obviously has a lot to it. There's a lot going on there in the final production, but like that started off as something that Zack came up with, and we were able to really kind of see the catalytic movement of that in real time with us working on it together. So it's been really cool.
So let's drill down on the tune a little bit. We're listening. You pointed out 7/4. So that's, for our non-musical listeners like that, we would call that an odd meter. That gives unique options for a melody or a lyric or the different phrases. Did you come up with the groove first on the bass or something, or did you set out to write something in an odd meter, or?
Yeah, I think with that tune, like, I remember writing the riff first. I was just playing around with a distorted guitar tone, playing some stuff, and that riff fell out, and it just happened to be in 7.
Right.
And I didn't want to change it, so I started trying to figure out what a drum part to go along with that would sound like, and then the kind of the B section came where it shifts the chords. And then at the time I was listening to a lot of new alternative music, and there was this one song, and I can't remember the name of it, but they dropped everything out besides a clap for the chorus section when it hit, and I just thought it was the weirdest but most effective thing I'd ever heard. So I was like, I'm taking that.
Right.
So.
And I'll add to that, I've working with Zack, he's not afraid to experiment with different time signatures, which is cool, I think, because it gives a little bit different feel to a rock tune. You got it in 7/4, like that, an indie alternative rock tune in 7/4. It's a nice, and I think the way we put that together with the parts and how they interweave makes it accessible enough where it's like, okay, well, yes, it's in an odd time signature, but it also sounds, kind of, it's got a groove to it. It locks you in, it pulls you in on that level too. So I think it's effective. But I always thought that was cool about Zack's writing, because, an idea doesn't have to be, not all his ideas are in 4/4 or a common time. He does experiment with those odd meters. So that was cool on that first track we heard to hear that come to life like that,
I think too, and it's always the entry points to a new piece of music. In this example, it came out of a groove, right? A guitar groove. But we know it could be a lyric idea, it could be a chord combination or something. But it's always interesting to me in my own writing process how that entry point feeds the rest of it, because it's like, okay, I got this guitar part down, and like your melody's automatically being impacted by that 7/4 time and the way that you have certain accents of the beat. Even listening to this, 7/4 is cool on its own, just in the most plain sense of it, because of the different phrasing that it can offer. But in this song, it's going further, where the entries of some of the lyrics and some of the melodic bookends, landing in the measure, right? So you can feel some of that. Yeah. They're already the push and pull of that, but the way that it adds extra moments of resolution, and so it's got richness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's a really cool treat to be able to work with something that starts with just an initial idea, like a riff like that, that's got a cool time signature, and like we said initially, this has been a collaborative for 20 years, so it's like we've gotten in a pattern of kind of a flow of hearing each other's concepts going back and forth, and it's been great to see something kind of evolve in real time, and that's what's great about songs like something like this, because it's like whereas like if it was just Zack writing and coming up with a bunch of slew of ideas, but when we're able to get together, two of us, it's like it impacts them a lot better, because we only have a friendship, but we have a musical relationship. It's a collaboration, and that's been huge for us to get all this from an idea standpoint to a finished tune that we're happy with. No, it's some of the stuff we're gonna I think play is got some cool lead stuff in there, and it's just been a joy to like, what other ways can I think about playing that the guitar over something that's like non-typical that I would typically do it in, and that's been a joy too.
Yeah. Well, let's why don't you tell us about the next track you're gonna play for us here?
Your Job, right?
Your Job, yeah.
So this is one I wrote in Virginia, based on my wife's experience at her job at the time. I won't slander the company she worked for, but it's a very, very large national pharmacy chain. And
that narrows it down enough.
Yeah. They were just very, whatever you want to say, abusive employers. And I just observed what was happening with her and how that was treated, and that situation, and just put it in the lyrics. And it's just kind of a commentary about, well, I don't know, we'll play the track, I guess, but what? Oh, yeah. That's a good point. So this tune, it's the tempo is 120. So there's 2 beats every second, and there's a ticking clock in it at different points, and that kind of plays into the whole like, how much time are you spending at this job you hate, where they abuse you and they give you 90 man hours worth of stuff to get done in 20, and I thought that was a cool. I don't know whose idea that was.
I can't remember. We came across like it was a mutual kind of thing. We were like, what if we put a clock and tempo to this, and it had it in the mix, It was a cool feature. Yeah.
Yes, let it tick.
Let it tick, yeah.
Job, give us everything. Anxiety comes in waves, breakdown coming. You want to walk out, got to submit. Your dreams are dead, you're told to wear a grin. Drive and you work and you sleep and you drive and you work and you sleep and you run and you run and you run. Not enough, the clock is ticking. Get your numbers up. the same to the great unknown. So we pray. In the rain, soak us to the bone beneath the grave. It might never be the same to the great unknown. We pray. We build castles in the sand. The waves wash them away. It's always been this way, so climb the mountain top,
Welcome back to the FLIMA Beat on 104.1 FM WGCC Radio in Geneva, New York. That was Rainchant by Exit Atlas. We're sitting here with Paul McCardle and Zack Brinn. Where did the name come from?
So, yeah, right around the end of the 2010s, we were trying to think up a cool name that wasn't already taken, and we were just having a lot of philosophical conversations and kind of talking about, I think maybe I had mentioned that I liked the statue of like Atlas having the whole world on his shoulders, and the idea, the book title Atlas Shrugged, like maybe instead of the whole world as your whole world, the structures in your life that you're carrying the burden of, and or different things psychologically you're carrying the burden of, and being able to like rid yourself of that and forge a new path and grow and develop and stuff like that. So it was like Exit Atlas, like he's leaving, he's not doing that anymore. He's gonna be reevaluating some things and trying to dig a little bit and see what's important.
Yeah, and I also can add to that as kind of like, an atlas is kind of like your map, right? Like you have your thing you're used to going by, your program, and sometimes it's
in the olden times.
Sometimes in the olden times.
I miss my Rand McNally.
Right.
That was like an annual purchase for me.
I know,
like
before
Atlas. GPS was such a thing. Like I remember being like, yeah, the new road. I love road trips.
Yeah. So now it's just, I think we took that term, and not only from the mythological sense of carrying your burdens all the time, and how do you not only manage that, but also learn ways to shift that a little bit,
It's kind of saying the same thing. Exit Atlas, throw away the map.
The map is not always the way to get you to where you need to go sometimes,
Yeah.
So sometimes getting off the exit and making your journey more original and authentic, and it speaks a little bit about that. It speaks a little bit about, not always having to walk the typical road, There's a lot of different ways to think about it. But I think the content of the lyrics, and correct me if I'm wrong, do find their way into that comparison we were just talking about why we called it Exit Atlas, because we talk about certain things in the context of the songs that we face on a regular basis. Some of the topics we address are, kind of general from a general standpoint, but they also kind of explore the
human condition.
Human condition, basically, I guess, is kind of the...
So it's like the message is basically Exit Atlas is like, just be you, just be yourself above everything else that you got to do, responsibilities and everything like that.
Right.
That's all non-optional, but at the end of the day you still have to be yourself, and you still got to express yourself, and you still got to throw away the map and just let yourself
kind of be,
do your authentic thing,
Yeah.
That was a cool name, so we hung on to it.
Part of that even also being like being kind to yourself,
Absolutely.
accepting yourself, loving yourself, right?
Absolutely. You can't do everything, and that's a big part of it. Learning how to, have a balance, and in art and in life, and it's important, I think. So
right.
Kind of addresses all that, and
we were talking about all that before I decided to go back to grad school.
Right.
Yeah, Zack is, how did you mention already? But he also works full-time and as a social worker, right?
Yeah, clinical social worker.
So,
and that's why it's been since 2021 since we've had some new music out, because it's been a slog, but
right.
We're getting it done now. So
I will say we are very active in terms of how much we all do collectively between the two of us. We do have a lot to offer with newer material coming out, and that's something we're going to hopefully feature a couple of tracks here.
Yeah.
Moving ahead into the next couple of tunes we share, because we've got some new music too. So that's really great to think about some new stuff coming out for us, because we're excited to release it. So
is that these tunes for the unknown, were they meant to be part of that from the beginning, or is it like, we're like, well, we've got these ones, we're ready to put these out in the world, let's name this as as this album title, or was it the concept first, or the songs?
No, I think we were just kind of searching for a title, and
It's kind of like a chapter, right? Like, here's the stuff we've been
Yeah.
working on.
Exactly, yeah. And
Okay.
some of the tunes do fit within the context of the Exit Atlas theme, but on that record particularly, some of them are, more if they're just their own thing, then their tunes kind of came involved into be their own singles, and
Right.
But
and this was a full year into that pandemic, so
yeah, that's
everything
true.
seemed unpredictable.
Exactly.
So the unknown. Here we are, the unknown.
Here we are, the
It's the
unknown.
only place we've ever known.
Sure.
kind of fit into that too. So we were trying to, I guess, kind of pull it together under everything that was happening for all of us, and for us, and and put out a record. So
So
Yeah,
you guys
good
are working
talk.
on some new music.
yeah,
What are we gonna?
we've got two more, right, Zach? And we're thinking about these being on some
Yeah.
featured for the next couple of releases we put out over the course of this next year. We're looking at releasing, some more tracks, and these are two featured tracks
Yep.
from that.
We've got several that are much further along, and several that are just kind of getting started. But these are two that are pretty much in a state of being done. Mixed tweak here or there, but
And the first one, what we were thinking about doing was
how we change.
how we change. Yeah, it's just
And your process was the same as previous music for the most part for this new stuff.
Yeah, this started as just a chord progression that I just was like, it sounds corny, but I was like mesmerized playing it. I just played it over and over and over again. I have it in a voice recording on my phone.
voice memo. Yeah.
In a voice memo, yeah. I don't know if you want me to play it.
Why not?
Oh, he's gonna pull up the voice memo here, just so you hear the
Look
raw
out.
element.
Look out, everyone. We're going into the deep tracks.
It's gonna be a high fidelity for sure.
So, yeah.
Words are paltry things, float out on the air and land upon an ear, but the mind cannot hear. When my heart is armor, I don't know what to say. In spite of your beliefs, you don't yet understand, but I'll say it anyway. Love is how we change. Love is how we change. Oh, love is how we change. Oh, love is how we change. Love is how we change. Hanging by a thread, the emperor's designee, conversation killing, a silent mind is dead. As he stands there naked, he claims to know the way. Fool only yourself, the elephant in the room, you will see it someday. Love is how we change. 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 Love it's too late. The stakes are too high. Open your heart, resist the urge to hate. Love is how we change.
Just that progression is how it started, and you know, again, sounds kind of cliche and corny, but like, I'm somebody that I get like cinematics in my mind's eye when I listen to music. Like if I close my eyes, I'm seeing a movie. And
Your music sounds like that. Like it feels. I mean, not that I know exactly what it's making you feel or see, but I feel that way listening to it. Like it brings imagery, it brings landscapes. You know, like
Cool.
I feel
Very
that.
cool.
I feel that. So
Thank you.
I can appreciate that. Not to talk over you, but
No. That's really cool to hear that it does that for other people. But the imagery that I'm seeing while I'm listening or playing something, it kind of informs the lyrics a lot of the time. So this one, you know, the core of the chorus is like, love is how we change. It's kind of a commentary on the political situation. It's like everyone's so, you know, absolutely certain that they are correct and everyone else is wrong and full of malice, and they don't take time to like, you know, if you really do think you're wrong, they're wrong, like, love is how they change. You're not going to change their mind by screaming at them and insulting them and assaulting them. You know, it's going to have to be kindness and like outreach and stuff like that. So that's kind of where the theme of the tune came
commonality. What I can't wrap my head around is how incapable many people are of just seeing what's alike. As much as we can focus in on those political difference, social, economic, whatever the things that are dividing us and triggering these, you know, things. But it's like, I don't understand why it's so hard for so many people to recognize all the things that we are like and the ways that we struggle with the same ways, and we have the same.
We're all human. You know?
The same joy. You know, there's way more examples of where I can identify with somebody's walk than ways that I could be like, what are they doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, sure, like there's going to be some of that, you know, but I don't understand it. There's so much emphasis on the singling out the differences only.
How have you guys, for 20 plus years, how have you been able to stay together as musicians? In less time than that, I've kind of gone through like a couple different musical partners. Just life gets in the way, and we just, you
Great
know, it was
question,
great
yeah.
for a couple of years, and then like stuff happens, and then find someone else, and things are great for a year or two, and then more stuff happens. How did you stay together for 20 years, 20 plus years?
Well, life got in the way a couple times. You moved to Texas for a while.
I did. I was
moved
in
to
Austin.
Virginia for a while.
He lived in Virginia,
So-
that did happen.
There's a couple periods of 3 to 5 years where we, you know, would probably chat on the phone like every 6 months and maybe see each other once every 18.
I know. How would we best answer that, Zach? Would we say that maybe just the fact that we started early on in our venture with working together as a younger, 20-year-old and getting into original creative music and writing music and together, and it's kind of stuck as that one person that as far as having that collab relationship kind of just extended throughout the years, regardless if we were too far apart to work. We kind of found our way back, and what are we doing with music, and checking in on the phone, and then we got to get something on this track again, kind of thing like that. It just kind of stayed buoyant enough to keep it.
Yeah, because the friendship never died. It's just there's distance and whatever. But I think also like we both get a kick out of working together on stuff. So it's like, all right, well, it's been 4 or 5 years, but I'm around now. Like, what do you say? It's like, hell yeah,
Yeah, and I will say another thing. It's like I think with the two of us, we're very open-minded and acknowledging of each other's position and how we contribute and how we work together. The elements of how it processes when we do things is very fun. It's got a certain level of creativity of it that's unique to us, and I think that it keeps the fire kind of going within the project. And I'm always eager, obviously, to hear what else he's coming up with. So it's always like, what are you working on? And then it's like, well, maybe we should try to develop this a little bit. And then next thing we know, we're running tangent with that. So it's kind of built in with it,
And there's a couple tracks that are in process that are your nucleus of an idea, your melodies, your riff.
It's kind of done the opposite, where I come now with the project is to offer some initial ideas and then see where he can take them, and then I'll come back and it's kind of full circle then, right?
Yeah. I'd like to do more of that.
It's always fun, I mean, I'm having a lot of envy right now, because there's so much of my own musical creative journey that feels solitary, and like I admire people that find and forge strong collaborative relationships, and like the history is amazing, but like just the sense of your attitude about it and your openness to like work off the other person's idea or kernel of something, and like to me, that's where there's so much, so many jewels there, that it's like relinquishing some control of the creative process or having some vulnerability and these things that's where the great art comes from,
I think that's a huge thing. Yeah, I think, and we appreciate, all that you're saying about about the music already, and it's just like, but yeah, coming from a point where it's like the lens is the music, really. That's our fabric, right? That's what we're looking to lead us with, is our idea and what this could become, right? So it's kind of been our balancing point to see things from that angle, not necessarily like it's got to be this way or that way. We're open to where the music wants to go, and that's kind of like the cool thing about if you can find that collaboration or even develop that sensibility within yourself to work with someone that may not even be in the same style as you, for that matter. Like this is, I mean, just as an aside, for me, I work with a lot of different types of music. Playing, performing, and recording and stuff like that. So with Zack, he's got a certain sound in his own right, and so trying to find my place in that has been a challenge, but also very fun for me to let the music lead me into what this is calling to do, and having that perspective, I think, helps facilitate the working relationship,
For sure.
So
Paul gets sick of being told that there's no whammy bar in jazz. Put the whammy bar away.
I know.
Let's talk for a minute about creating original music and trying to get people to effing listen to it and give it a chance. And not, we talked earlier off mic about how, I'm reluctant to make the comparisons and things. And it's like, even though it's okay, and in the context we were doing it, it was evaluation on some level, but the average listener, I hate to say it, is so eager to liken you to someone and then make you in that image of them, I get approached all the time. Oh, your voice sounds like so and so. Do you do any of their songs? Or that was one. And I'm focused on my tunes mainly, and or like, oh, that tune sounded like this. Can you do them? And it's like where I even am. Not that I never play covers, but I'm even reluctant of which ones I choose because I don't want to give people that like, cool, now they're just going to be down. And then it's like all the songs of my own creation. Now I'm like fighting for some ears to give them a chance, Yeah. Clearly, after talking to you guys, you're driven to do it as artists.
Correct.
Right.
But what about the other side of that token, right? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And just trying to be heard in this era of tribute shows and tribute bands and party bands and people putting out, derivative sounding stuff. Like,
I see it as an audience as a luxury, not a necessity. And that might not work for some people. That's the only way I conceptualize it. It's kind of the Atlas shrugging the burden off his shoulders. It's like, well, I don't have the burden of being motivated by how many people I can get to listen to it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm motivated by, I want to just be passionate about it and make the best music that I can and be really proud of it. And, I really only have myself and Paul to please. And, and that's actually been the case several times. I mean, there's several tracks on The Unknown that went through like 4 or 5 very radical iterations and they were trash. And like I had to know that and like have that quality control, and I could have gone like, well, nobody's gonna hear it anyway, so F it, but it wasn't that. It's like, no, I want this to be like something that I can listen back to and be proud of, and it, like I said, an audience is cool, but I'm not discouraged when I don't have one.
Yeah, and I don't mean strictly from the point of validation,
Sure.
but just that. Culturally and socially, like,
Yeah.
how do we,
Yeah.
you're going to make it regardless. That
Yeah.
what I meant to imply of like your artist to begin with, but
Right.
As observers or consumers of culture and creators of culture, like. What are your feelings on it? Aside from that part of it, I agree with you. Like, if you're going to make music for the sake of music, and the sake of expressing, your vision, your thoughts, your feelings, your anecdotes, we're going to do that no matter what.
Right. But I think I can say a few words here. There is an element, I think, too. I mean, I certainly agree with the standpoint we're laying down here and what Zack had reflected upon about, really being passionate about what you're doing and creating your best work and working from that standpoint. But, you touched upon a few things in regards to, you sound like this or it sounds like this, and that kind of directs the flow of your feedback on what you're creating and putting out there. And that chimes into the element of authenticity and how do you really establish your sound as a voice and your vision and coming to from a standpoint of authenticity. You want to be almost seen that way. I think inherently we want to see, I do at least, I think it's important as an artist to have a voice that's unique to yourself to some degree, and try to be honest about it and what you're saying and what you're creating. And it's nice when that gets seen rather than it being something deflected to, oh, it sounds like this, or it sounds like this artist, or this vocal sounds like that. Yes, it's great to be compared to something that's also very good, but I think the overall goal and really digging deep here is how do we, as artists collectively, find that autonomy individually and our collaborators so that we can create original music that is appreciated for its own sake. And that's a question that's difficult, I think, now, especially with all the things you mentioned, that it is a challenge. And we have to be, I think, not only adamant about creating things that we're passionate about and continue to do that from that level, but also seek the nooks and crannies around that to, really try to stay true to what we're envisioning with the art that we're creating, with the music that we're putting out there. And it takes a lot of resilience amongst other things going on. And this project, I think, Zach, maybe you can add from this standpoint, we don't play out live a whole lot. So this is a great way for us to get and through this radio station, to get some of the sound of what we've been working on out there. So we're almost like, how do we state the reactivity of things to this music? And I think we've gotten some feedback in the past about it sounding really cool and has some cool elements of this, that, and the other group. But it is a good question you're asking. How do you, first of all, where do you put that post up and inside of yourself, and knowing that you doing this not only because you're passionate about it, but because you feel like it's being heard from that level too. Feedback, like how. Yeah,
I mean, the foundation, compared to any other art form, the foundation of music within the culture has been completely eroded. Like it started.
Yeah,
with the homogenization and consolidation of this format, broadcast, right? Like when Clear Channel took over most of the 90% of the radio stations, like in the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever, that was a really big blow to generations prior that leaned on the radio station to discover new music.
Right.
So there's even a shift in mentality of where all of a sudden it became those program directors could decide nationwide what was going to be rolling on this playlist or that playlist.
Yeah, I think
where, speaking of road trip, again, you could leave it on the dial, and wherever you are on that dial, you could drive across country, and you're basically going to hear the same, 75 songs or whatever, that fit that station's format or whatever. And so, fast forward to streaming music, or even before that, once music went, I guess, file sharing, because once it went digital and iPods and all that, and it stopped being an actual physical media,
right.
Then it's like music has become more like a public utility than an art form with the streams. It's just like, it's like the water. All the streams are given the same music, and
I think we have to
for free, and it's just like, so
remember where the recorded form came from. It was an invention, right, from Thomas Edison, right?
Sure.
And that changed the dynamic, because we could document music, and that was the goal, was that we could save a piece of art and create something and fixate it so that we could archive it and have it and collect it and appreciate it as an art form. If we lose that to the field of with broadcasting and some of the extent of what you're saying has done to that ability to take a recorded form and then organize it to a different means of it being utilitarian, then yes, it's like, but I think maybe it's just a perspective shift we need. It's just, we really have to kind of look at what is happening, right, and open it up and see it. Really, that's what's great about, I think, this station's doing stuff from a community standpoint, right? To have opening it up from a small local level and seeing that change happen for the sake of the recordings and the music that people are putting out, getting more of that appreciation from an artistic standpoint. Huge.
So in mental health, they talk about something called the locus of control, what you have the ability to influence in your sphere. And everything you said is correct. The state of independent musicians, there's a lot to be bitter about. You've got an unlimited consumption model where you pay one low price and you get to listen to all the music you want, and every artist gets 1/10,000th of a cent per play or whatever it is. You've got, a signal to noise ratio on all of these social media platforms where there's 40,000 people putting something out, and there might be 5 people that have something really good, and you just can't access it because it's just lost in the noise. And then you've got locals who just want to hear cover songs from some band while they get inebriated, and that's the only thing there's an appetite. There's a lot to be bitter about, but then the answer to me is that you just don't dwell on that sort of stuff. You just find another reason to keep doing it. You know, because we don't have any control over that. You know, society is going to have to find a sense of value in local and regional acts again. They're going to have to find a sense of value in that and seek it out. And if they're not, we don't have any control over that. So it's just you just have to do you until some things change. Because being bitter about all of it doesn't seem like a wise choice. You know, and when I'm speaking for myself, so.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough question. It's a lot of
answer.
Yeah. There's a lot to consider there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the other one we had lined up for? Kind of another follow up to that, right? Almost the Live Again track, is it?
Yeah, Live Again was like, I remember writing the lyrics for that one coming out of like a depression for a few months, and that felt like a really catharsis, like a release of a bunch of tension.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the lyrics are with that, like. You know, I started to live again, you know. Of course, my demons wait in the wings to see if I would be the first to blink, you know, those kind of lyrics.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that was like coming out of a
I really like
funk.
the lyrics, some of the lyrics you use, the allusions in your lyrics there on how we change. You use a reference there, don't you?
Yeah, the emperor has no clothes in the second verse. Hanging by a thread, the emperor's designee, conversation killing, a silent mind is dead as he stands there naked. It was just a bunch of like...
Cool. I thought it was really cool how you did that, you know, just as a point of reference to think about things as how these...
You claim to know the way, fool only yourself, the elephant in the room, you will see it someday, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. I thought, nice lyrics there, Zach.
Thank you.
Of course.
Well, you guys are getting the world premiere right here on FLIMA Beat, 104.1 FM, WGCC Radio. We're here with unreleased music from Exit Atlas. Thanks, Paul and Zach, for joining us. And
thanks for having us.
We're
It's been
looking
a
forward
blast.
to all the new music, and we're gonna give you a taste of it right here.
loaded down with pain and strife, but small in the grand scheme. The best stuff's in the space between.